Thank you, Alice. And our next speaker is from Jubilee Campaign, USA, Mr. Gregory Treat. So join me in welcoming.
Well, I want to thank Dr. Zhang and all those that invited me to come here speak today. I'm honored to join this group in voicing my concern for those who are suffering in China today. Jubilee Campaign focuses on the religious freedom of ethnic and religious minorities, but religious freedom for all people. Now, I've heard that the Falun Gong do not necessarily associate themselves with the concept of a religion, but the freedom to believe and practice your beliefs in public and in private is the core of what this country was founded upon and what we believe are fundamental human rights for all people in every nation, including China. I am honored to be here, but I am also dismayed by the continuing vicious and unwarranted persecution of the Falun Gong and other religious minorities by the Chinese Communist Party. 3 years ago, the U.S. House of Representatives called on the CCP to immediately cease and desist from its campaign to persecute, intimidate, imprison, and torture Falun Gong practitioners, to immediately abolish the 610 office, and to immediately release Falun Gong practitioners detained solely for their beliefs from prison and re-education through labor camps. While there have been some encouraging signs that the government's attitude may be changing, political statements are meaningless, while innocent Falun Gong practitioners are still subject to widespread organ harvesting, which is a euphemism for a violation of the bodies, the theft of the organs that these people need, sometimes even to survive. If there has been any real change on the ground, we should recognize that this is mainly due to a Chinese public which recognizes the moral bankruptcy of the Chinese Communist Party and is less and less likely to cooperate with the 610 office and other instruments of oppression. The continued existence of systems of oppression such as the 610 office are inherent violations of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, particularly Article 18. And China is a signatory of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Yet we have seen repeated persecution of the Falun Gong and other religious groups, including Tibetan Buddhists, Uyghur Muslims, Christians in house churches, and sometimes even in the official church. All of these groups preach pro-humanitarian philosophies. They are not a threat to the government or to their neighbors. Yet they are subject to horrendous abuses, and the rule of law does not apply to them. This also has victimized human rights activists. We are all familiar with Chen Guangcheng, who was able finally to come to the United States earlier this year. His personal courage and unwavering commitment to justice is an ongoing testimony to the virtue of the Chinese people. A man of such virtue could not fail to challenge the most comprehensive system of oppression currently operating in China today. I am referring, of course, to the one-child policy, which has left its evil mark on every level of Chinese society. Child limitation policies violate a drive so basic, so intrinsic to human nature, that it necessitates coercion and even brutality. The leaders of the Chinese Communist Party make sure that their family planning centers come with prison cells by design. They make sure that every official knows that if birth quotas are exceeded, then lower officials in that area will lose their bonuses and higher officials will be sacked. Most importantly, the Chinese Communist Party makes sure that their family planning cadres, like the 610 office, are granted total impunity for the use of coercion, which again is the only way to conceivably implement the oppressive policies of the Chinese government. And how did the one-child policy come into being? How did the policy of persecution toward Falun Gong come into being? A few ill-advised leaders with no accountability to their people enacted these policies. Leaving aside the human rights aspect, leaving aside, in the terms of the one-child policy, the despicable cruelty of those who forcibly aborted Feng Jianmai and left her baby's corpse beside her. Leaving aside the millions of similar stories which are never told. Leaving all that aside, this policy has been debunked on economic, demographic, and social grounds, on every ground on which sound policy is supposed to be based. Yet the totalitarian government of China refuses to relent. Like the decision to persecute the Falun Gong, once put into effect, these policies of oppression are placed above question. But the Chinese people, the courageous, undaunted, unbroken, the Lu Xiaobos, the Gao Zhishengs, the Chen Guangchengs, the Falun Gong, the Uyghur Muslims, the Tibetan Buddhists, the Christians, all the people of China are beginning to question a government which claims the right to control every area of human life. Some things in life are too fundamental to be controlled. The government's efforts to control its population are creating a vicious social and economic backlash in China. I tell you that the coming population implosion will shake China to its foundations. The spiraling effects of sex selection, gendercide, and the social implications of a lack of siblings in the family may very well derail China's path to realizing its potential as a world power. Similarly, the government's efforts to stomp out spiritual movements, whether they are Christian, Tibetan Buddhist, Uyghur Muslim, or Falun Gong, are a violation not just of human rights, but of human nature. I appeal to the government of China to exercise the rule of law, to end the coercive brutality of systems of oppression such as the family planning cadres and the 610 office, and to embrace the religious diversity of the Chinese people. Only then will China achieve the greatness of which it is truly capable. Thank you.